the China Open. It's always interesting to me to see what players do to sort of calm themselves or get themselves focused. ZHANG Jike is always sort of pressing down his rubber and fixing the edge tape throughout. We'll see how much we see that in this match. Here we start going. Best of 7, love all. ZHANG Jike with the serve. Pretty standard forehand shot, spun off the side. ZHANG Jike, patient, always looks very smooth and effortless with the strokes.
Tight serve, as you would expect at this stage. In with the forehand topspin. Interesting that Mizutani looks as though he's going to try and stay closer to the table. Tends to back off.
I think he knows that that's where he's most threatening.
Absolutely. But he is superb to watch when he's back there. But against ZHANG Jike, he's not going to win any points when he drops away from the table. But of course, playing close to the table is a little bit alien for him, something he's not used to. So he's got somewhat of a dilemma, and the first 3 points go to ZHANG Jike. And you were mentioning about the fact he's only 25. This is his 10th World Championship, team and individual. So at 25, 10 World Championships behind you.
Well placed into the body. ZHANG Jike looping it. You can see Jun Mizutani trying to get out of the way of that shot. It's actually an art that Jun Mizutani does quite well, often far from the table. But again, the pace you're dealing with from ZHANG Jike, he can be threatening even when you're very far back, even when he's off the table.
Again, when we talk about the big stage, Adam, I wasn't there in Germany. You were, but ZHANG Jike played Samsonov. He was 3-0 down, managed to come back and beat him 4-3. Here in the previous round, they came across each other again, ZHANG Jike versus Samsonov, and it was a pretty straightforward 4-1 victory. So you already sense he's upped his game from the World Tour circuit. But is that fair comment? You were there watching the game?
Yeah, and just real quick on the Samsonov match the other night, the first game was 16-14, and that was pretty impressive play. After that, it went downhill a bit. Samsonov took one game. But yeah, in Germany, you're right. It didn't seem... they always say motivation. It's the motivation. ZHANG Jike wasn't motivated for that tournament. But on the big stage, he does step it up. And you're right, he's playing much better out here. Strong start against Mizutani. Has a 5-2 lead already. Even better after these... Well, I guess better for Mizutani after these last few points.
Mizutani beat Gowning in the last 16, the Singaporean, 4-2.
And actually the clash of the Titans, ZHANG Jike and Ma Long, happened in Germany just over a month ago. The German Open, considered to be the mini World Championships. And ZHANG Jike was leading 3-1. Ma Long came back to win the next 3 games.
Worth pointing out that Jun Mizutani was an outstanding junior player as well. You mentioned, Adam, that he became the national champion of Japan at 17. He was also runner-up in the World Junior Championships in 2005, some 10 years ago. So he'd be 15 years old when he was runner-up in the World Juniors. So 25, a father, a very experienced player. But I do think here it's, for want of a better word, a clash of styles. I think his game, his natural game to drift away and topspin, just plays into the hands of the world champion. But we'll see, we'll keep our fingers crossed. But at the moment, a pretty comfortable lead for ZHANG Jike.
Another interesting thing, the way Jun Mizutani is able to shut down Dmitry Ovtchar's game from time to time with well-placed serves and openings. He's facing a completely different skill set out here. ZHANG Jike from over the table gets that backhand wrist action that's so fast. Very soft hands. He seems to have a much stronger receive of Mizutani's serves.
Backhand topspin on the diagonal from Mizutani. Japanese coach looking on. a bit of good fortune for the world and Olympic champion. It almost balanced on the top of the net for a while, but then trickled over onto June Mizutani's side. 6 game points for China.
Seemed a little bit off balance out in front there. Mizutani goes for the backhand punch shot to try and stay in it. But it's a very dominant first game for ZHANG Jike, 11-4. Stick around for game 2. We'll see if the tables are about to turn. So we're back for game 2, where June Mizutani is trailing 0 games to 1 against the standing world champion of 2 times, ZHANG Jike. Last game was 4 points to 11. Mizutani is going to really have to rack his brains speaking with his coach and figure out a strategy here to be more of a threat. Well-placed shot. Backhand over the table from ZHANG Jike, very deep on the table, and Mizutani's really not able to generate much power trying to play the short side of the table.
Fascinating to see how far now the players will come across the forehand side to return with the backhand. Again, ZHANG Jike just coming right across the table.
You could even see his leg actually off the side.
10 years ago, you'd be told off for doing that. Coming across and returning with your backhand. You don't do that. You must return with your forehand. It's just not going Mizutani's way here.
It's definitely interesting, the physical demands of the game now. We see a lot more physical fitness than we have back in the day.
It is interesting to me, with my coaching background, and everybody talks about, you know, how good Chinese are, but it's just the numbers. People will say they've just. But when you think they've revolutionized, you know, that backhand return of serve is something they developed, coming way across the table. The reverse backhand for the penhold grip players. Coaching-wise, they've made some massive steps, and their players have benefited by some really creative thinking by the coaches, and I'm sure the players have had their input into that as well.
And that shot's right on the line for Mizutani. That's what it's going to take. Some pace, placement. It was on the body, too. Not an easy task for Mizutani to even get around that ball.
Left. 1-3.
That's where he struggles. Just relentless topspins from ZHANG Jike.
It's going to be very difficult for Mizutani to take ZHANG Jike out of his comfort zone, to not allow ZHANG Jike to really control the points. In a counter-looping battle right now, it's just not going to favor Mizutani's game.
And I just feel he's a little apprehensive. His arm was quite stiff then. He wasn't relaxed at the elbow. His wrist didn't come into the shot either. I think he's feeling the tension out there. Lost the first game comfortably, 5-1 down in the second. Shakes his head. There he is. Something drastic needs to happen. He's just got to, what do you say to him? Caution to the wind, go for it, boy. Go for the big forehands, backhands, take a few chances, nothing to lose.
And one shot that comes to mind that's quite threatening from not too far from the table, the big step around forehand. He hits inside out at a very wide angle. If he can make that shot and then stay at the table for a follow-up to the backhand, I think maybe that's his best chance. It's just a question of opening up that shot.
There's a half-decent return there from Mizutani, but half-decent's not good enough, as you can see there.
Right.
ZHANG Jike across. Powerful forehand topspin. Good topspin there. You could see ZHANG Jike up on his toes there. He knew he had to get his racket over the top of the ball. He knew there was heavy topspin, but even so, he still didn't get the angle quite right.
Excellent counter, reads the topspin, uses the pace of ZHANG Jike, and this is another thing from a timing standpoint. If Mizutani's able to do that, really use his opponent's spin and power to block it back. We saw that in the women's games earlier today. It was quite effective for Liu Shiwen against Li Xiaoxia. And we got the inside-out forehand. The follow-up was jammed onto the body, just a little bit too high to the middle of the table for Mizutani.
I think Mizutani does well here, but he's up against arguably the best player in the world at topspin. Maybe Marlon. He's right up there.
Some pressure on the receive, gets it up high over the table, fast into the backhand. That's a nice change, but still the ball comes back.
Yeah, it was a great return of serve, in fairness.
ZHANG Jike really is able to stay low and set. This is something between core strength. I mean, I think we've all seen his abs and his quads. He can definitely stay low and twist and turn as much as he needs to really earn a quality shot where there might not be one so easily.
Well done, June Mizutani. Good topspin into the body, into that crossover point where ZHANG Jike wasn't sure whether to play a backhand or a forehand. In the end, he played something in between the two. But a rocket forehand topspin down the line. I think young Mizutani we'll see on the replay. Yeah, he was hanging around the backhand side, hoping it would come on the diagonal. It didn't, it went down the line. Again, I don't blame him for doing that. Had it come on the diagonal, it would have given him half a chance to win the point. But he left himself exposed. And ZHANG Jike capitalised on the exposed area. Just shows you, I think that was slightly fortunate. He didn't quite get the contact he wanted, but he threw the ball up in the air. Let's have a look. I don't think he intended to go that high, but it actually won him a point.
Yeah, that ball's loaded with spin. Again, sometimes the high ones not only break the rhythm, but as you'd mentioned, so much spin on that ball. Not as easy as it looks, and now it's just a 3-point game. ZHANG with his second serve. And that ball just too close to the net. ZHANG Jike very comfortable with the angular play. Impressive that Mizutani was able to bring it back for the first defensive shot. But yeah, that's got to be deeper on the table for the rally to continue. Hopefully we'll get to see more of those. But Jun Mizutani is now facing 4 game points against him.
So strong, backhand and forehand top spins. He's solid, he has good touch over the table, almost a complete player. ZHANG Jike takes the second game 11-6. Don't go far, we'll be back shortly.
And we're back for game 3, where ZHANG Jike is leading 2-0 over Jun Mizutani, world ranked number 5. So Don, we're looking at this, and when a player seems to be a bit outmatched, what do you do? I mean, Jun Mizutani loves to get far from the table. We don't think that's going to be a great strategy, but he's tried staying close. That hasn't been working either. Maybe mixing it up a bit just to get ZHANG Jike out of rhythm a little bit.
Yeah, it's a very difficult one as the coach. Unfortunately, the natural game for Mizutani is to step a meter, maybe even 1.5 meters away from the table and spin the ball back. He's absolutely tremendous to watch, is Jun Mizutani, but unfortunately that game is just not good enough to take on the man in red. He's just so powerful backhand and forehand. So what do? You can't play your natural game. I think you're absolutely right, Adam. He's got to try and mix it up. I know, that's a good thing. The chop block, it's something different. He threw one up in the air, I think a little bit by accident in that second game. Do you remember when he spun it right up in the air? He's got to do things that might just throw ZHANG Jike. ZHANG Jike makes a few mistakes, and who knows, he might claw his way back. But he's taken the first 2 points here against the serve. But you see, this is where it's difficult for him now. Yeah, as soon as he steps away from the table, it's tough. So I think for the coach, it's a tough job. I think that gentleman on the screen there has got a much easier ride than the Japanese coach for sure.
Well, it has been a strong start. Some new ideas from Jun Mizutani anyway. It was patient. It seemed like there was more trajectory forward on the receive of the first serve. He's really trying to, instead of playing slow and spinny, and he might later in the rally, maybe he'll be mixing it up. But we even saw him fish a little bit from a step or two behind the table. It's nice to see that he's thinking outside the box a little bit, searching, looking for any solution he can find against ZHANG Jike.
It's just so difficult for him, isn't it? This sums it up, really. Just look at these top spins.
That's right where the white on the table join each other from the baseline to the sideline, as corner as it gets and still hitting the top of the table.
Perfect placement from the world and Olympic champion.
Some power there on the backhand from Mizutani.
I know it's easy for us to say, but that's what he has to do. He's got to stay close to the table. Exactly what happens here. Try and force ZHANG Jike away from the table. And there we see ZHANG Jike's away from the table. Mizutani's close to the table, making strong top spins. But it's another thing actually putting that into effect. It's easy to say. It's not very easy to do when you're up against ZHANG Jike.
Don't forget, by the way, you can submit questions to us on Twitter. Hashtag #AskTheCommentator. We'd love to address your questions, have a little bit of dialogue going with you, the audience. Hope you're enjoying it at ITTF.com. You can watch all the matches from the tournament. There have been some amazing ones so far this week.
Well
best
done.
point. It's the best one we've seen yet this match after a chop block and then a fast block back onto the table.
But the difference there is he's staying up to the table and blocking it rather than dropping away and taking on the counter topspin.
That's absolutely right.
Keep it in the backhand until he gets the one wide to the forehand.
And these are the points we wanted to see, Don. The crowd definitely showing their appreciation for an outstanding rally. It's what Jun Mizutani's best at, the footwork in the backcourt, the lobs. He had a few opportunities with the forehand to come back into the point, but ZHANG Jike is calm and cool as a cucumber, keeps it right back in play. The finishing shot just had too much power, and that wasn't the one. Right there, takes it a little earlier off the bounce, a bit more through the ball. ZHANG Jike is so good at doing that. Not an easy shot to take these kicking lobs off the bounce. But still 0 for 1 on the lobbing points, Jun Mizutani.
Left. 5-4.
And we're actually tied back up. I know it feels like it's a one-way street here, but in this game, it's dead even.
the halfway stage too. 5 points each. So well done, Mizutani.
Beautiful combination, a little break off the edge, but the chop block out wide, then the block back into the middle, and the inside-out forehand, the Mizutani signature attack, right there on the white of the line and a little bit of the edge. What'd you think of that, Don?
I think that's the way he's got to play to have a chance. He stayed closer to the table. He was aggressive. A little bit of good fortune, but I think it'd have been a winner anyway.
I agree with you.
But his lead didn't last for long. That's the first time he's ever been ahead. He lost the first point in the first game, and thereafter never had his nose in front. 6-5, that could be the highest point for him. Let's hope not.
You know, Mizutani's points are so glamorous, so enjoyable to watch. We have a lot more memorable points of Mizutani winning, but some of the points that he's losing are just more simple mistakes close to the table. It's the complete game that you mentioned of ZHANG Jike that's picking up the points here and there. It's going to get him to 11 first time and time again.
But of course, we've not really given Mizutani much of a chance, but he's playing well. And of course, he has to win this game. He can't come back from 3-0 down. So this is a do-or-die game as far as I'm concerned. 3-0 down, he's out. 2-1, he's still in with a chance. And he's now got his nose in front for the second time. 7-6 up. Jun Mizutani.
And we heard a little bit of grunt on that shot. He's putting in more effort. In the practice hall, if you watch Jun Mizutani, he's grunting every shot, training 100%. And out here, certain shots, it just seems like he's playing a little bit more passively. The placement of ZHANG Jike, the touch, not allowing the shots to really arrive, to open up some opportunities for Mizutani.
Interesting serve. I don't think there was much spin on it.
And again, the placement's so perfect. ZHANG Jike, I think it was a little deeper than he expected. Might have been a second bounce on the table, but if so, it was to the very length of the table, and ZHANG Jike not able to get the over-the-table shot so comfortably with the backhand. And it's a 2-point lead at the business end of the game. Mizutani's just 2 points away from putting the game on the board.
ZHANG Jike now with the two serves, but even if it's 9-all, Jun Mizutani will have the serves at the end of this third game. One of these points would be sufficient.
And after a spinny opening ball and a little clip of the net, an unfortunate missed lob from Jun Mizutani, he definitely had a chance. We've seen him return shots like that about 20 times in one rally just a few points earlier. Now a 1-point game. As you said, Mizutani's got to take one of these.
Heavy backspin on the serve. Very deceptive, fast accelerating wrist. Cutting underneath the ball, heavy backspin. However, we still must remember, Jun Mizutani has the advantage of service now. He has to serve tight. Maybe we'll see him serve into the forehand again and bring ZHANG Jike across the table. But he has to stay close, get him with a strong topspin if he can. Here we go.
A lot of pace and spin as that ball kicks up into the edge of the blade on the backhand side for Mizutani. Played safe, didn't try and turn around the corner. Then again, there wasn't much time for him to even do that as ZHANG Jike took it off the bounce of the backhand.
It's this point for a 3-0 lead for the world champion.
And that was 3 in a row for ZHANG Jike. Now Mizutani serving against the game point. earned himself a great third ball, fooling light spin on that. ZHANG Jike misreads it. It's popped up in the forehand to put it away.
Needed flicking that ball. ZHANG Jike opens his racket angle, goes underneath the ball. And of course the topspin bites in and the ball pops up. Alternate serving now, first player to win 2 clear points.
And the miss hit this time is on the side of ZHANG Jike. Well blocked, well placed. Mizutani working it out to the forehand there. Block back a little shallow on the table, but keeps the top spin on the ball, keeps the pace in. And as you mentioned before, he's close to the table for the block where he's most threatening. Now it's game point for Jun Mizutani. And the step around, he quickly anticipates a wide serve to the forehand side. ZHANG Jike with the backhand over the table, tries to play it deep into the corner. Mizutani's waiting there for the forehand, but it's too wide, and Mizutani gets his first game this match. Stick around, game 4 coming up just after this break. So we're back for game 4, and after pulling out a deuce game, Jun Mizutani now trailing just 1 game to 2, making it a bit more of a match. We'll see how he continues, if he can keep up the momentum. We got a question from Twitter online. We'll be addressing that in a moment here.
Just the start that Jun Mizutani didn't want. If he can get off to a good start here, put a little bit of pressure on ZHANG Jike. Oh, he went for the chop block, but he went for it half-hearted there. Got to come down a little bit more on it.
Right, it definitely looked like a passive choice. The question is from Leon Prentice on Twitter. He asks, I'd like to know ZHANG Jike's workout routine to get quads like that. He's just low and quick. Well, that time he wasn't quite low enough and quick enough, backed off the table. But absolutely, ZHANG Jike's quads, probably the most impressive in the game. I don't think he's doing anything unheard of. Probably a lot of squats and lunges and other weight training to really bulk up the quads and make sure that they're also not too stiff. I know a lot of bodybuilders bulk up and it slows them down. I think staying agile, whether it's stretching or doing all sorts of footwork drills that also keep up your speed and stamina to combine with the power. You know, he's strong all the way through the course, so yeah, I think it's just hard work, really.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Adam. And when you think about table tennis, what do you need? You do need the power, but you also need the endurance. When you think ZHANG Jike is here playing now, he's played in doubles matches every day, so you need the endurance to get through that. You also need the flexibility. You're stretching, as we see, all the time, so you need endurance, you need flexibility, and of course you need power. And that's exactly how the players train these days. They're totally professional. They'll take on board nutritional advice. They'll have sports psychologists helping them if they feel they need any support in that area. Some do, some don't.
Right, nutrition another factor as well. I mean, the human body can only extract nutrients from certain foods, and if you're eating a lot of cake and other things, processed food, it's not going to be quite as helpful. But the workout and the diligence, determination, and drive of ZHANG Jike has shown up in his quads for sure.
Wow, what a point. Relentless top spins, backhand and forehand, spraying it around the table. Here we see on the replay, backhand on the diagonal, forehand down the line, point to ZHANG Jike.
Really impressive how explosive he can be from a step and a half behind the table. A backhand on par with some of the best forehands in the world.
Oh, that's trademark ZHANG Jike. The service in behind the serve. There we see the serve. Steps around. Fast forehand topspin down the line into the backhand of Jun Mizutani. Mizutani now 3 points, 2 points adrift. He's got 3 points, but he's 2 points adrift. Again, just slightly half-hearted on the chop block. It's a very difficult shot to play, but you've got to go for it. If you're going to play it, go for it.
And now Jun Mizutani's got a timeout. I think that's a great call. The body language, he looked just a little bit, I don't know if, he looked a little bit befuddled out there. It didn't seem like he had a great idea of what to do. Almost every point we saw him lose, with the exception of that blocking point, and even that was something in between. He wasn't really taking the initiative. When he had a little opportunity, he wasn't sure if he should back off, start lobbing. It was neither here nor there for those points. He's got to be confident and really have an idea of what he wants to do, and then if it doesn't go his way, adapt. But he's going to have a plan from the start, I think.
I think he knows he has to do something different. He knows he can't play his natural game. So he's actually taking on things that he wouldn't necessarily normally do. The chop block, blocking from close to the table, being very aggressive behind his serve. And I think in doing things outside of his normal comfort zone, he's actually made a few errors, which is inevitable. But all I would be saying to him is, you know, when you do something, even though it's something you may not do, go for it. Don't hold back. The 2 chop blocks he's done, which is a really effective job, he's just been very tentative.
Right, and I wonder if we're going to see some change in serve. We haven't seen a lot of fast, long serves from Jun Mizutani. Not there. We saw a strong block on the backhand side, but the step around forehand to the short side of the table goes long, and the first point out of the timeout goes to ZHANG Jike.
Big point, the first one after the timeout.
Right, the psychological effects reverberate through the match. Just too close to the net on that last defensive shot from Mizutani.
Just watch this here, how powerful. Mizutani does incredibly well, but as you say, that ball was very short over the net. And ZHANG Jike able to pick his spot. On that occasion, he sent it out wide to Mizutani's backhand, 8-3.
We don't see a lot of sloppy misses like that. I mean, ZHANG Jike had a pretty juicy look at that ball. Took it sort of softly into the middle.
But look at the return there, how high that is. That's not a great return of serve.
I think it helped that he had the corner of the table in the way. It was a little closer to the net. You could see ZHANG Jike had to lean out in front and try to reach for it. So it wasn't a very naturally comfortable shot. Very unusual serve. It floated so close to the net before it bounced once. I mean, watching it, you were just sort of wondering. ZHANG Jike felt like part of the audience for that. He was watching it too, wondering what was happening.
I think when he threw it up, he hit it when just as it started to come down. He varied. Normally you hit it when it's about net height above the surface of the table. I think that one, he hit it twice the height above the table that he would normally do. But it was, yeah, definitely different.
That's a very good point you brought up, by the way, Don, about contacting the serve on toss. I think a lot of people don't consider the height of the ball crossing the net, but it has a lot to do with where you contact it on the toss. And in the short game, ZHANG is the one who's there closer, taking it off the bounce quicker, gets in and out, and now has 5 game points to go up 3-1 over Jun Mizutani. And that is it, 11-5. ZHANG Jike in great position to move on to the semifinals over Jun Mizutani. We'll see if Game 5 has anything else in store. Stick around.
とボギー。だって次の50面、さっきバックいいです。回り込んで、早く回り込んで、半分半分、早く回り込んで、後半いらねえ。回り込んですぐ大きな後半してみる。さあ、後半だよ。いつも人遅い。サーブ出す。もし僕つけたら、然后打大概感觉再住了8把就开始啊，非常好啊，哇，加油啊！注意力集中啊！
And we're back for game 5 now, where Jun Mizutani is trailing. On the receive, he has won 1 game, and ZHANG Jike in the red has won 3, is 1 game away from moving on to the men's singles semifinals. And until that last block, it seemed like he had a good strategy going. A bit more directional, deep on the table, keeping the ball low, creeping his way back in, but then the last shot stood up a bit and the ball came back high.
Again, unfortunately for Mizutani, that strategy only works if your opponent makes mistakes. He was simply blocking the ball back. Did it very, very well.
Just missing the short side of the table on the bending fish shot from the backcourt. Both players working each other all around. Right there starts it off deep into the backhand court, and then right to the other side. ZHANG Jike has to run over to get that. And one more, but it doesn't land.
I think that just touched the side of the table. In fact, the umpire's given the point to Japan. But again, great sportsmanship from Jun Mizutani. He lets the umpire know that it did touch. You can see on the action replay that it touched.
Very faint, good eye, especially with the leg being hit right after. See too many points won that way, but we love it when we do. Jun Mizutani running them all down like he's chasing a frisbee out there for some of these shots. And that ball so high out of the comfort zone, that's quite demanding on the shoulder. And I'm not a lip reader of Mandarin, but it seems like ZHANG Jike had a lot to say to himself after that rally.
ZHANG Jike now with 2 serves.
Seems like he's quick to get into the defensive points now. Little bit of success and he's back in it. But that's what we expected ZHANG Jike to be able to do, the inside-out forehands. A little bit surprised we didn't see Mizutani go for it. He often goes full extension, really hustles to get the ball. That's too good.
A Pyrrhic victory, I'm afraid, the previous point. You win a point and you think, I'll do it again, but unfortunately you win 1 out of 10 doing that. But
right,
it inspires you to try again. We refer to that as a Pyrrhic victory. It's a coaching nightmare, the Pyrrhic victory.
So with the first towel break, Jun Mizutani a little bit at a loss for ideas, it seems. Had a few, a Pyrrhic victory that you were telling us about, and he doesn't have a timeout left, but he could definitely use a lifeline or some inspiration of sorts.
Let 1-5.
Little bit out in front and off balance. Mizutani did not seem comfortable there with his backhand attack. He knows he's got to play outside of his comfort zone, so it makes sense that he wouldn't look comfortable, but he's just not having enough success with that shot.
Oh, good backhand down the line. Took it early.
Right, that one had a lower, a little bit more spin too. Just an all-around higher quality backhand shot. Setting up for the forehand quickly.
Just overhitting the backhand topspin.
Timeout.
And the timeout going to ZHANG Jike. Be talking to Liu Guoliang for a moment. Still has a comfortable lead. But again, the defensive play, who knows? It could also be a Pyrrhic threat. Maybe Jun Mizutani winning a few points that seem uncharacteristic. That was crazy. Look at that.
There's a lot of, that's frightening. There's a lot more ZHANG Jike in the background.
It's like Matrix 3. In case it's not enough threat having one ZHANG Jike, try battling 1,000 ZHANG Jikes.
Yeah, no, I think the last few points it was a good call. Yeah, it's interesting. The Pyrrhic victory that I referred to evidently comes from a General Pyruvus who went into battle with 2,000 troops and would defeat armies of 100 men, but lose 1,500 men. And then it was called a Pyrrhic victory. You actually won, but in reality you lost.
I hear you.
And hence the expression, a Pyrrhic victory. So when you win a point and you think tactically that was a great thing to do and you carry on, you actually lose 5 more points doing the tactic that won you 1 point.
Good to know.
A Pyrrhic victory.
I like that. You know, it'd be nice for Jun Mizutani's sake if he could get some more serves that were a bit deceptive, if he could catch ZHANG Jike off guard a bit. And that stretch we just saw ZHANG Jike doing for his lower back after the point. I think in Germany he was doing a lot of similar stretching. Don't know if it's something that's been with him for a while.
Good return of serve from Mizutani. Read the spin well. Delicate touch over the net. Just gives himself a little bit of hope now. He needs to take 2 points. 2 points, obviously. 2 points would be great. There's the first.
And that's an excellent forehand flip. The power was there. Ball left up a little bit high, and he was still close to the table for the shot. Not an easy ball. Close to the net. Really had to get out and reach for that.
So 2 out of 2 since the timeout. Second serve coming up. Can he win 2 out of 2 with his serves? Oh, the serve was slightly long. What a great return.
And ZHANG Jike has been quite threatening with that over-the-table backhand. Anticipates it well. Sets up the ball just about at net height when he hits it. Such a low trajectory and loaded with spin. You know, we were talking a bit about Samsonov's choice to serve from the middle of the table against ZHANG Jike. Some players change where they're serving from and have a similar motion on the serve itself, but earn themselves a better shot at getting the forehand. Sometimes changing that up can cause a bit of jarring to the opponent. And speaking of jarring, the ball barely comes off the back edge, and Mizutani, not sure what to do for it, hesitates, changes his mind at the last moment, and realizes he can't get a good swing. So the last 2 points have gone to ZHANG Jike. Again, it's now or never for Jun Mizutani. Has to win this game.
Excellent touch play from both players, both waiting patiently for the opportunity to attack. ZHANG Jike was the first one to open out with that backhand topspin, and it's sufficient to win the point. ZHANG Jike 2 points away from a place in the semi-final. That serve probably came long, played it over the table.
Right, it seemed like ZHANG Jike had sort of predetermined that he was going to play a defensive shot there unless it was a very long serve. And I agree with you, it probably would have come off, but he got in really early to take it right off the bounce.
Oh, he's missed bread and butter topspin there for ZHANG Jike.
And that was the shoulder hold again. Once again, when you're playing someone who's so strong at bringing the ball back after several of those lobbing points. Causes a lot of stress on the body. ZHANG Jike has had several matches here in more than one event, from doubles to singles. He's definitely putting a lot of pressure on his body out here.
Oh, well done. Jun Mizutani. Game on. 9-8. Yeah, it's interesting how Shushin, he played in the mixed doubles as well. Of course, he's the world champion. Men's doubles, he's playing with ZHANG Jike. And the body can only take so much. Shushin, of course, has had lots of problems with his shoulder here.
That's right, 2 out of the top 3 Chinese, well, I guess technically, yeah, that's right, 2 out of the top 3 are having shoulder issues. And if I'm not mistaken, currently on the team of the guys that are front line for the Chinese national team, ZHANG Jike is the most senior at 27 years old. Two points in the same game missed in lobbing rallies. We saw the racket turned around. ZHANG Jike going to the red side of the racket for a little bit more outward speed and less spin. So much kick deep at the baseline. Jun Mizutani really varying it up. I thought he was in trouble when he went so wide to the backhand. I thought the forehand's open. ZHANG Jike is going to just bend it away, come inside out, and Mizutani's going to have no chance to run it down. But he's won the points.
Maybe he's getting a little tired. Certainly he's playing with the shoulder. It's given him a little bit of irritation. He'll certainly be looking to win this 4th game. He won't want to play, sorry, this 5th game. He won't want to play a 6th game. Match point.
Mizutani had really climbed a ways back to come to 9-9. I don't know, I wonder if the Pyrrhic victory is going to invite some lobbing again.
Maybe lobbing just to tire him out even more.
Well, he has to get through this point. If a tired ZHANG Jike wins a point against lobbing, that's it. He can rest for a little bit. An unfortunate end after a dramatic comeback. Jun Mizutani service air into the net and a growl from ZHANG Jike to get out of that one. Despite having the lead, you could see how important it was, and he started to feel the threat of Jun Mizutani after the last several points had gone Jun Mizutani's way. But ZHANG Jike will be moving on to the men's singles semifinals. And we've got the best players in the world, Don.
All 4 seeds through.
Everyone except for Shushin, I guess.
Shushin, of course, who lost to another Chinese player.
Fang Bo, he's the one who's earned his spot. Stick around, we've got more matches coming up for you in just a bit.